Hello, fellow Movie Crusaders, and welcome to another episode of Sean's Movie Crusades. My name's Sean Wasserkrug, and today we're reviewing the mega hit sequel, Frozen 2. Now, for me, Frozen, I remember when it came out 6 years ago. Yeah, it's been 6 years since Frozen came out. I remember when I went into it very hesitant because it just didn't look appealing to me. It didn't look like a good movie. But then everyone kept saying, "Oh, it's so great! You gotta watch it! You gotta watch it!" And then I watched it. I was like, I actually really enjoyed that movie. And of course, Let It Go got basically played over and over and over again until it was like a dead horse. It's still a fantastic number sung by Idina Menzel. But it's just it's on now. And you're just like, oh my god, don't play it. So. With Frozen 2 coming out, there's a lot riding on this sequel. I mean, obviously they wanted to match the success of the first film, and because of how powerful Let It Go was, that also means that the soundtrack and musical numbers also have a lot of pressure on them as well, because they want to not take a step back from the first film, but to move forward with the franchise. So a lot was riding on this film overall. So let's go ahead and jump into the review and see exactly what I thought of Frozen 2. The general plot of Frozen 2 is, I don't think they really say a time frame of how much further ahead we are after the end of the first film. I would say probably about at least a year, probably, maybe 6 months at most, since the events of the first Frozen film. Everyone's, living happily ever after, in a sense, but, basically Elsa, she's still walking on eggshells. She still is trying to do everything she can to not mess things up because of her power. She doesn't want to scare people off. She doesn't want to be pushed out of the kingdom because of her power. So she's still just kind of very, very tight on, just very hesitant and everything like that. While, Anna's having a fantastic relationship with Kristoff and hanging out with Olaf. They have a great happy singing number. How like everything's great, blah blah blah, blah kind of song to start the film. But the main thing that's going on right now is that Elsa keeps hearing this voice, like a singing voice, and she can't tell where it's coming from. She's the only one that can hear it, and she keeps trying to just ignore it because she just wants everything to be the way it is. She doesn't want to do anything that could cause any mess ups in Arendelle, I think is the name of the town. I could be saying that wrong. But it just keeps calling to her. And basically at one point, something attacks the town, and it's up to Anna, Elsa, Kristoff, Sven, and Olaf to go into the woods where this mystical forest is that they think is what's causing the issue. And that's basically the general plot, is them going through this journey to the mystical forest to try to find out what's going on and how they can save their kingdom. And that's the general plot of Frozen. Frozen 2, sorry. Now, what works with Frozen 2? A lot works with Frozen 2. Frozen 2 does exactly what Frozen 1 does. It makes you not think it's going to be anything real big, but it's charming as hell. You really like the characters. The music is fantastic. The CGI in this one, because it's been 6 years since Frozen to Frozen 2, looks amazing. There are shots in this film that are breathtaking. There are just certain shots that, like, things that they do in this film that made me literally just go, wow. Could not believe that they got it to look that way. Could not believe some of the things I was watching looked more real than it did CG. The visuals for this film is off the charts. The music. Now, for me, for Frozen, the first film, to me, it was a 2-song soundtrack. You had, Let It Go and Love is an Open Door. I wasn't really crazy about any of the other songs. This time around, I definitely like the soundtrack a lot better. There are 2 big powerhouse numbers by Idina Menzel. I can see where they're going to focus on the Let It Go version of Frozen 2. It's a very catchy song. It's a very powerful song sung by Idina. But there's another song in the movie that's a powerhouse by her that is an emotional roller coaster. Like, I even got emotional listening to her sing it because she sings it amazingly, and based off of what's going on in the film at that moment. I actually got teary-eyed during the moment. It was sung beautifully by Idina, and these 2 numbers are knockouts all the way through. Plus, Especially the first one, the one that I think that they're going to try to make it this year's Let It Go. When the credits roll, they already have different people singing it. Like Panic at the Disco is singing this particular song when the credits roll. There's another song that's sung by Weezer. So they already are radionizing these songs for the radio. There's another great song in the film sung by Christoph and Sven that literally reminds me of like a Bryan Adams like 1980s, 1990s music video, which at first is weird, but you fall in love with it as it's happening. It's so like out of left field as you're watching it, but it is hilarious and it's an awesome song. Olaf's got a great number at one point in the middle of the film, and Kristen Bell has got a fantastic song. Basically going into the third act that at first I was like, I don't know if this song's that great, and then you're into it, you're like, holy crap, she's actually killing this number. So there are at least 5 fantastic songs this time around. Now I do say that they do sing a little too much in this one, especially in the first 15 minutes, almost to the point where it felt like a musical. You'd have a song, they'd say like a couple paragraphs, song, paragraph, song, and it's just like, all right, come on, let's actually get a story going instead of just a bunch of singing numbers. But when we get to the middle of the film, or at least like after the initial 20 minutes, every song after that is a knockout. And it is definitely leaps and bounds, to me, better than the original Frozen film. The voice cast is just as great as it was in the first film. You got Kristen Bell back as Anna. She does a great job. You got Idina Menzel as Elsa. You got Josh Gad as Olaf. You got Jonathan Groff coming back as Kristoff. And then you got the newest additions of Sterling Kane Brown, who plays Matthias, I think it's Matthias. You got Evan Rachel Wood playing Aduna, who is basically Elsa and Anna's mother in the film. They do some flashback scenes of their childhood, because the main plot story point going into this is there's a lot of backstory going on in their childhood that brings their parents into the forefront of the focal point of the story. So Evan Rachel Wood comes in as their mother. Alfred Molina plays Agnar. You got Jason Ritter as Ryder. Just to name a few of the cast in this film. Like I said, they're all doing a great job. Now, in terms of the characters, Anna and Elsa, they are the main focal point of this film. Whereas in the first film, you had the relationship between Anna and Kristoff, and then Elsa, was she going to go bad? This one, yes, Kristoff Einar's relationship is still a main focal point, but the main storyline is the sisterhood between Anna and Elsa, and them trying to stay together. You have Elsa, who still feels like she's an outsider because of her powers, but then you also have Anna kind of feeling off too, because they're going on this journey, and while Elsa is incredibly powerful with her powers, Anna's immortal. She's a regular human being. She doesn't have the same power. So when Elsa goes straight forward to something that's dangerous, Anna's right there with her, and there's a conflict there because Elsa knows that she can handle it because of what she's got, and she has to worry about Anna when Anna's trying to worry about Elsa because it's her sister. So you got that conflict going on there because they both feel like outsiders to one another because of one being normal and one being special, and in turns vice versa in their other opinions. So that's a great driving force going on with their characters in the film. Olaf, I mean, in the first film, I thought there was a little too much Olaf because his jokes didn't land quite well, but he's for the kids, kind of like how the Minions are for the Despicable Me franchise. In this one, there's a lot of Olaf, but for some reason, it works better this time around. His jokes seem to land better. He's comical, but he's also kind of makes the most sense out of everybody in the film at points. He definitely was a crowd pleaser in the theater I was in. Everyone was loving everything he did. I thought he was going to get really, really annoying, but then I ended up just kind of enjoying him along as well. So if you guys are annoyed with Olaf, just kind of get a refresher of him. He actually does a really great job, and he's got a great emotional arc going into the film as well. But yeah, like I said, there's a lot to like about Frozen 2. If you're a fan of Frozen 1, you're going to love Frozen 2. If you didn't really like Frozen 1, you might still actually like Frozen 2. Now, what does not work in Frozen 2, there's a few things. It's nitpicky, but it's a few things. One, there's no real villain in this film. You keep thinking that they're going to introduce villains, because there's some characters that are like, oh, they could be villains. They could do a turn, kind of like how Hans was in the original Frozen, but none of them ever really become villains. So it's all really about this journey for Elsa and Anna and the crew, but not really a actual villain in the film, which I think really could have used one. Just so that way they had an antagonist to go up against. So not having a villain, I think it could have made the movie a little bit stronger by having one. Also, they introduce a lot of new characters into the film, and then just don't do anything with them. Frankly, I mean that's the thing. Is like they know that the main crew is Anna, Elsa, Kristoff, Sven, and Olaf. They know that's what everyone wants to see. They know that that's what people pay the money to see, is to see those 5 characters. But then they introduce like 4 or 5 new characters, and you're like, oh, okay, they're gonna get some time, some character development, some story, and they really don't. So it's kind of like, what was the point of introducing these characters and casting people like Sterling Kane Brown, Alfred Molina, Jason Ritter, who all are great in their role. They're just not given enough to do. Also, like I said, the first 10-15 minutes, it's a little too much singing, and not enough plot in a sense. It went really musical, but then they finally slowed it down and actually allowed some dialogue to come in. The first song, like I said, didn't really work for me. It was a little too, kind of like almost like, it's not as annoying, but it's kind of like almost like a version of like Everything Is Awesome, but, but for that town. And I wasn't really a big fan of that musical number. But it's just, like I said, there's a lot to love about this movie. But there are some little things here and there nitpicking. Now, like I said, all this stuff, in the moment while watching the movie, I wasn't really figuring this stuff out. This was me, an hour, 2 hours later, when I'm looking back on the film, where I was like, I love that movie. I had a great time. Going, oh, yeah, that could have been better. Or, they could have added that. Or, oh, wow, those characters really got no development whatsoever. That made me come up to it. So in the moment while watching the film, you're probably not going to see any of these issues. You're probably just going to be in it the whole way through like I was. But they are issues that are with the film overall. So going into overall thoughts, I think Frozen 2 is a fantastic Disney film. It does a great job of doing the one thing that everyone is always scared about when it comes to sequels, and that is actually being better than the previous film. I like Frozen 2 better than Frozen. I think the soundtrack's better in Frozen 2 than it is in Frozen, and I think the cast does a better job this time around, basically being equals. Also, part of the negative, Kristoff definitely gets pushed aside quite a bit in this film. He's got a lot in the beginning, he's got a good chunk in the end, but the whole middle he's just missing in it, which sucks. I actually like Kristoff, and he just kind of gets pushed off to the side towards the middle of the film. But yeah, like I said, the cast is really good together. They seem to really be into the swing of things. Like I said, it looks amazing, it sounds amazing, the story's strong, even with the nitpicks that I had about the story overall. I strongly recommend Frozen 2 for anyone who wants to watch a great animated film, as well as obviously fans of Frozen or fans of Disney films in general. You're going to love this movie. I think you guys are going to really have a great time watching it, and you're probably going to be singing the songs or humming the songs or at least buying the soundtrack when it comes out. I don't see any of these songs going Let It Go levels, but definitely more stronger soundtrack overall compared to the first film, and definitely a lot more fan favorite songs overall, just not one that's of the caliber of Let It Go. So going to my overall score for Frozen 2, I'm going to give it an 8.8 out of 10. Like I said, the nitpicks, while they're not super huge, they do kind of combine up a little bit, and so that's why I got to the 8.8. But 8.8 is still a fantastic score for Frozen 2. But because of that, it does not crack into the top 10 of 2019 so far. So going to the list, we got Avengers Endgame at number 1, Jojo Rabbit at number 2, Ford v Ferrari at number 3, Toy Story 4 at number 4, Joker at 5, Parasite at 6, Rocketman at 7, Doctor Sleep at 8, Peanut Butter Falcon at 9, with El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie, at number 10, with Booksmart being just outside of the top 10. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you guys did, go ahead and hit that like button. If you guys feel like this review is worth sharing, go ahead and hit that share button. But most importantly, don't forget that subscribe button to the channel, so you guys stay up to date with all the latest videos that pop up on Sean's Movie Crusades. And of course, don't forget to follow us on all the social media outlets you see below. Coming up next, we have the Mr. Rogers film, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, starring Tom Hanks. I was really excited for that one. So if you guys want to check out that review, go ahead and go to the videos over here on Sean's Movie Crusades on YouTube and check that out. And until next time, in case I don't see you, good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Movie Crusaders.